Y'all ready to get started? Yeah, I am too. I'm Joseph F. Price, Joey P. I'm in the house. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to help you elevate your understanding of the porn recovery process. Again, I'm Joey P. Joseph F. Price. So today, what we're going to do is I just wanted to kind of do an ad lib, and the only thing that I really could do an ad lib on is to answer some of your questions. And obviously, I can't give you a thorough answer to your questions. One, because it's your specific situation. And number two, some questions are so complicated, the answers are so complicated that it's going to take more than, I guess, the 45 minutes or so that we're going to dedicate to this program. So, with that being said, I'm going to answer some of your questions, and we'll see what we can put together as far as you learning something and taking something away from you, something away from this conversation. So let me do this because I haven't done this in a long time. Some of the people, uh, you can skip up if necessary, but some of the people, y'all don't know me, right? So I'm just this regular guy that is doing podcasts. So you don't know me from Adam. Um, but I struggled with porn, and I wouldn't even say I struggled with porn. I used porn for, I don't know, 40 years or so. That's a long time. That's a real long time. And then, one day, somebody, I had actually been a life coach, had been a Christian life coach for a number of years. Someone who knew me and felt that I knew all the answers to everything, which I don't, said at the end of a conversation, I got a porn problem and I do too much porn. And I really, I was so grateful that it was at the end of the conversation. You know, how you're getting ready to, oh, yeah. So it was like that. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that some other time. And so, fortunately, what happened to me and for me was I went to YouTube because that's how I work, right? If I want to know the answer to something, I'm going to delve into it. Not that YouTube and my first search on YouTube is going to give me the answer, but that's going to give me a start. It's going to give me a framework of where I'm going to look and dig and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I was fortunate enough to hit the right video. It was an 8-minute video, and the guy pretty much summed up all the bad things that are going on with porn. And the thing that really captured me was the fact that porn is a terrible use of your mind. And as a person that's a life coach and as a person who, is very sensitive to words and sensitive to your mind and all that stuff like that, that didn't work for me, that we're actually destroying part of our mind. And the part that really got me was that your fantasy that comes with the porn addiction and porn use is actually occupying too much of your imaginary sector in your brain. Now, what happens usually is the imaginary sector is, oh, I imagine something, and then I go to work and I make it happen. See, that's what happens. Imagination is the key to life's coming attractions. That's what Einstein said. So when I realized that I'm doing that, for me that was like my I don't want to do this anymore. And everybody has a different I don't want to do this anymore. For some people, it may be porn induced erectile dysfunction that happens. For some people, it's they get into a new relationship. For some people, they realize that it is a threat to their ministry and say, no, I don't want to do that. For some people, they realize that it's a threat to their marriage. They don't want to do that. In some cases, it's a threat to their job. They don't want to do that. Whatever it is, D-Day or the day of reckoning, something happens, and then a person starts to look at a different route. And for me, in my case, when that happened and I saw the video that gave me the information, it was like right at the same time. I said, "Oh yeah, this is going to fit really perfect." And it's almost like it's ordained because here I am. I'm a life coach. Here I am. I've experienced all the dysfunction that comes with sexual addiction and all of the pain and broken relationships and all that dysfunction that comes with it. And here I am. I can learn how to do this stuff. I can learn how to heal myself. I can learn how to fix myself. And then what can I do next? I can help other people do it. And so that was my why. And that's how I got here. And that's why we're here today. So, with that being said, I don't even know where to start because I got a bunch of questions here. And today, primarily, what I'm talking to people that are drowning in porn right now, not necessarily the person that's in recovery. Because the person that's in recovery, I would hope that they're not even asking any of the questions that I'm going to answer today because they already have the answers. So let's start with the first question. And this is the real question. This is a good question, and it's the real question, and it's a good question for you to ask and have, which is how long will it take for me to get off of porn? And I think the real question is how long will it take for me to not be an addict of porn any longer? And so the answer to that question, the best answer is that it's going to take you longer than you want it to. And I say that's the best answer because you really need to embrace that it's going to take longer than you want it to. And by embracing that, you'll do the things that you need to do to get through this. So, yeah, it's going to take longer than you want it to. So here's some timelines maybe to help you out along the way. Here's some stuff that you can think about, some guidelines and timelines, if that's really important, even though it's still going to take longer than you want it to take. I would think that if you start doing the right things, all of the right things that you're supposed to do, and you implement them, that you should be almost down to zero porn at about the 90-day mark. Then this is not going to work for everybody. There's no, it's not a template, but it's about like that for most people. I mean, if a person's really like chronic, it might take them a lot more work and it may take them a little bit more time. But again, if a person's working, and so what am I talking about working? I'm talking about you spending a time about an hour a day working on becoming better. Now, you're spending part of that time right now in what you're doing, this kind of thing. But basically an hour a day. And so a lot of people want to bucket the hour a day. But look, you were spending an hour and 2 hours doing porn every day. So if you got a problem spending an hour a day not doing porn, doing some of the work, then have the problem with spending the hour a day and also have the problem with doing the porn. If you don't want to do the porn, you spend an hour a day in the recovery process, and eventually the recovery process will catch up with you. But if you're just going to hope, see, because we'll get into this in the conversation, a lot of times what people want to do is they want to hope and wish and use willpower to get rid of this particular addiction. No, this addiction is not about that. And so if you want to use hope and wish and willpower, you get the gift of continuously having this addiction, because that's how it is. Because I'm going to give you the answer to a question, which is, why is there a porn addiction in the first place? I don't know, and I don't know what you believe in. I believe in God. I believe in the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ. I don't know what you believe in, and it doesn't really matter what you believe in. Here's what you need to know. This porn addiction here thing, it gets people that do certain things. And then after those people, and some of those people have a certain similar story, after those people get caught, then there's only a simple formula to get uncaught. And if you try to do anything other than the simple formula of getting uncaught, it's simple and a little bit complex too. But again, you have to do certain things. That part is simple. If you don't embrace that the world is telling you, sir, I don't like how you do life. I don't like how you represent men. I don't like how you're representing people. I don't like how you're representing Christians. I don't like how you're representing anything. That's really what porn addiction recovery and that moment that I'm talking about. That's really, that moment is calling you to be a different person for what I just finished saying. And so you can either respond to the call, and the call, I told you what the call is. The call doesn't really come out the way I told you. That's just, I'm telling you to help you out a little bit. That's the call. You got to be a different person, because see, here's the thing. The reason why you got there is because of the person that you are. So if you think that you're going to be a different person by being the person that you are, come on, man. You know, I don't want to call you names so early in our relationship. You got to be a different person, and that's really the bottom line. And that's the thing that so many people want to resist and not embrace. You got to be a different person. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that is, but it's a different person. You become a different man. And here's what that really comes down to in your specific own way. What you did when you started all that porn and did that and went through your teenager to 20s or wherever you are right now. There's a lot of stuff in life that you missed out on. There's a lot of stuff that you didn't embrace. There's a lot of stuff that you don't understand. And there's some destruction that was done as a result of you doing that porn. And so the process of not doing porn is actually tackling those things and tackling those pieces of things, and as well as you becoming somebody that's different than the person who did porn. Because porn is really, it was a solution when you were a teenager to something, and it's an adult problem. It's a way that you've self-soothed for so long. And because you self-soothed for so long, you know, most people have a tolerance like that. You, because you self-soothed so long, your tolerance is like that. So, you see, it's working against you. Your whole life is working against you because you've developed the tolerance to pain of a level that's only got an inch when most people have a whole foot. And then you want to self-soothe. So you see what you know, your world's working against you. You created a world. See, it started like that. The more you got addicted, your you know, the window got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you almost have no tolerance to pain, and your only relief, your only go-to life can be okay mechanism has become porn. It's the way that you train yourself. And that's what equals porn addiction. So let's talk about a few things that you can do to, first of all, start and kind of turn around in your journey of not being a porn addict. Wow. All right. So first of all, it's 250, you know, it's 250 addictions, and they're personal to you. 250 things that you need to alter that are personal to you. Some of the things we can talk about are general, but I'd say that, yeah, there's about 250 things that you need to do. See, this is why it's so comical and funny. It's not funny to laugh about. It's kind of sad, funny, but this is why it's comical and funny in that way. To watch somebody sit there and count days to get some kind of recovery. I mean, that's like the most foolish thing that you can do. To sit there and actually count days and expect that days somehow is going to get you recovery. Did days somehow get you addicted? No, days didn't get you addicted. You did something in certain days. So that would be quite another question. Why does Joe Price not like you to count days? I don't want you to count days, kind of for the reasons that I just mentioned. Your recovery is not about counting days. It's about becoming a different person than you are, becoming a person who doesn't do pornography, becoming a person who respects women, becomes the person that's not doing the stuff that you're doing, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as long as you're counting days, I don't think that you're doing what it is that you need to do to become the things that I just finished talking about. And the mere fact that you're counting days is a blatant example that you're unwilling to accept what it is that you need to do. That's why I don't like anybody to count days. And anybody that is going to count days, again, it's a blatant. You don't need to hear it from me. Anybody else that knows what they're going to talk about is going to tell you don't count days. See, that's something, maybe that work with alcohol or something like that. That's not going to work with this. And with this, that's in effect celebrating the last time you were a clown. That's one reason I don't want you to do it. Okay. So no need to count days, because counting days is celebrating the last time you've been a clown, and counting days is missing the point of what recovery is. It's not holding your breath and having a bunch of willpower and hoping this thing will hoping this problem that you created is just going to go away. It ain't going to go away like that. It's going to go away because you're going to do the things that you need to do. No. There's coaches like myself that you can contact, and we can link step by step what you need to do, and also dig inside of you and figure out what specifically you need to do. But again, you got 250 things that you need to work on. Period. That's what it takes to rid yourself of porn for good. You become a different person. And that's probably the answer to the other question. Why do you need professional help? You need somebody that can give you a system to help you do it rather than you waste your time. I'm not going to necessarily say you need professional help, but you do need an aggressive system. And the only aggressive systems that are out there are professional, because the other systems, people don't know what they're talking about. All right. So why accountability? Accountability, part of like an easy answer, and I don't like that word easy. I've got a whole podcast about easy back there, so I'm not even going to talk about easy. But part of making your recovery more simpler, shall we say, is by you learning how to handle your stress and handling your boredom deliberately, which are two things that you don't know how to do. And also the biggest part, if you want to like simplify some of the biggest kind of things that you want to do in this recovery process, it's hard to make it this simple or this easy, but it's a reverse of doing a lot of the things that you do now. And it's just simply doing the opposite. The problem with that is that you're doing some good stuff, and that doesn't need to be reversed, but you're doing some stuff that's deleterious, and that does need to be reversed. And one of the things that needs to be reversed is, how do you handle pain? How do you handle stress? How do you handle boredom? And I just finished telling you, you got a small threshold. Now, the good news is, as you get off, if you back the gas pedal off of your addiction, it goes back. to normal where you can handle pain. But yeah, you got a low tolerance for pain, and that's one of the reasons that you keep going back. So do you have to have an aggressive attack system? So what else? Question that comes up a lot of times is how long before I start noticing things? And that's almost the same quality of question as how long will it take? And part of that type of question is this. It really doesn't matter how long it's going to take. What matters is that you do what it is needed to be done in order for you to recover. It really doesn't matter how long it takes. However, how long does it take to feel things? People experience it at different stages, and they feel different things at different stages. And usually, like after like a month, they feel different stuff. But I would caution you as you feel different stuff to not think that you're feeling everything, because you're not feeling everything, because you can't possibly feel everything, because I don't. Sometimes I have amnesia, but I think how long it takes to recover, I don't know if I answered that. But yeah, it takes about 5 years after you work. It takes about 5 years to recover from deliberate porn use, if you're actually engaged in recovery system. And I'm talking about really, 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 really healing. Okay. Um, you can be done with the porn in about 90 days. If you're working a program, maybe as little as 30 days, but like done. And then you might have a slip or two, 3 or 4 or 5 in the first year, and then boom. Some people, their story is a little bit more stretched out. That's what happens when you really work a program. I don't know what these other dudes are doing out here. These dudes are trying to do willpower. Sometimes that's lasting 10 and 15 years, and they didn't get no results. I'm on day one. Day one. Day is always capitalized too. Day. Anyway. Some people think that they can learn from porn. That's one reason why they would want to do porn, because this is actually going to tie into the next question. You can't learn anything from porn, really. I'm sorry. No. What you can do is learn a whole bunch of other stuff, and yeah, you can learn from porn actually, but I'm not so sure that you can learn healthy intimacy behaviors from porn. Okay. So the other question people ask all the time is, a little porn okay? No, a little porn is not okay. The reason why a little porn is not okay is, from my perspective, is this. Not so much that I have this big investment in you. I don't want you to ever do any porn. I want you to no. No, that's not. No. That's not what this is about. A little porn is not okay for a couple of reasons. Number one, your propensity to addiction, if you ever were addicted. So the fact that you never stopped, you never got to a point of stopping, so you never really tested what was going on in your system. And that's usually when people find out how addicted they are, when they don't do it, and then they have to go through all the different phases of getting through the addiction, some of the feelings. Told you they don't have a big tolerance for pain. It's a very painful process, unless you're ready to roll for it. It's very difficult. All right. Another question that comes up sometimes. I hope I answered that question. No, a little porn is not okay. And then another thing that I'm concerned when people want to, play this game of a little bit of porn, is this. My biggest concern is I'm almost trying to buy that little bit of porn for you, but I'm not anyway. But one of the reasons why I'm not ever going to buy a little porn being healthy is this. I don't know what's going to be in the porn. So somebody's always going to spice the porn up to make it more juicier so that, somehow it's juicier. That's just the nature of porn. You have to make it hypersensitive because of the fact that porn is a hypersensitive, hyper stimulating event. And because it's hyperstimulated you and overstimulated your body has compensated by desensitizing itself. And because of that desensitization, you are continuously wanting a more amped up experience. So they're going to provide that for you. And that's one of the ways that they do it. By adding stuff and racism, sexism. I mean, some of the stuff that's important you'd never see on mainstream, and if you were to see it, somebody would have their neck wring, literally. So enough said about that. A little porn is not good. Oftentimes, people ask the question about therapy, and so the answer when it comes to therapy is probably the answer really is a CSAT, certified sex addiction therapist. If you're going to see a therapist, don't see any other therapist except for a CSAT. Because what happens a lot of times is people have what we call secondary trauma, where the therapist ends up traumatizing the person. Because the therapist doesn't understand sex addiction, its origins, what makes, all the different things that are going on, and so on and so on. So, CSAT if you're going to go to therapy. What's the difference between an accountability partner and a coach is the question that comes up all the time. Well, an accountability partner will keep you accountable. A coach will kind of guide you and lead you and also train you. An accountability partner is also more of a peer. A coach is somebody that really doesn't have any kind of challenges with what it is you're dealing with. A lot of times, your accountability partners will be people that are actually challenged. Now, with that in mind, accountability partners, here's one thing. We can't go into it long distance today because this is a short question and answer session. Your wife being your accountability partner. No, 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 never, 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 never. No, 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 no. Never, never, never. I mean, you being accountable to your wife is one thing. Your wife being your accountability, all that noise that you just finished hearing, suffice to say, no. And the reason being is because you're traumatizing her. You're probably not going to be as honest as you'd like to be. And a whole host of other reasons, no. And more than likely, the reason that you're trying to make your wife your accountability partner is because you're too cheap to go out and get a CSAT. You're too cheap to go out and buy a book. You're too cheap for everything else. But yet, when it comes to a chat girl or only fans, you got all kinds of money for that. You got all kinds only fans. You got all kinds of money for that. You got all kinds of money for chat girls. You got all kinds of money for massages. You got all kinds of money for all that. All kinds of money for premium Bumble, premium. You got it all. But when it comes down to your recovery, you expect people like Joe Price to work for you free. You expect people to do stuff for you free. You expect them to give you literature for free. You expect everything free. You know why you expect it free? Because you thought you got free porn. And the reason why you still think you got free porn until I finish the next sentence, you ain't got free porn. You know why? Because if you're addicted to porn, you got to pay for recovery. And when you pay for the free porn you thought you got, that's called doing recovery, man. Recovery is when you pay for that porn that you thought you were getting for free. Ain't nothing free in this world. You've been told that all along. You think you got some porn free. And now you want some recovery free. Don't work like that. All right, so here's a touchy subject. When should I tell my spouse? You've been lying like hell about what you've been doing for the longest time. So what's usually recommended is that you find somebody that can guide you and tell your spouse that's been through that. That's usually the best answer to that question. And then if you weren't going to do it that way, if again you wanted to do it the cheap way because you had money for OnlyFans. You don't have money for anything else. Okay, so you would you would get some kind of supremacy over your addiction first. Because if you don't get supremacy over your addiction and then you turn around and tell your spouse, you've been lying anyway. If you don't get any supremacy, what's going to happen is you're going to fail, and then you're going to lie to them, and then they're going to catch you, and then you're going to have more problems. And or you'll get drowned with a whole bunch of shame or some nonsense like that. Okay, so I see this one question. Give me some tips for quitting. I don't really have any tips for quitting except for do a recovery program completely. Get somebody to hold your hand and take you from wherever you are to where you need to go so that you become a different person and become a person who doesn't do porn. All right. What's this other question here? Yeah, two other questions. Why is connection so important to recovery, and why is exercise so important to recovery? Okay, let's go with that exercise. A healthy body and a healthy mind, they do wonders, and a healthy spirit in terms of anything. So that's going to be the wonderful environment for you to recover in. One thing. The second thing is probably you may have discipline issues in some areas, especially areas that cause you pain. I don't know. Some people, they actually have a lot of discipline, but then in this area they don't have discipline. So I'm not going to say I'm not going to just paint the brush over you that you don't have any discipline, but you probably have low amounts of discipline. And so exercise is a good way to help you start to build discipline, number one. And then number two, the healthier your body is in, the greater the environment for change is. All right. And if you're exercising and I kind of offended you, please keep exercising. And I apologize for offending you. I'll talk about social media. You need to get off of social media because that's not good for you. It's not healthy. You need to get off stuff that's triggering. You need to decide that your recovery, that your sobriety, your recovery and your sobriety are so important that you don't have to do this or that. You don't have to be on social media. You don't have to go to these places. See, these are little things that don't have anything to do with porn, but you think you're so smart and you don't realize that by engaging in certain little tiny teeny behaviors that they fuel the big behaviors. In some courses that I've been through, we call them yellow behaviors. And you do a bunch of yellow behaviors, then the red behaviors follow. But if you can catch yourself doing yellow behaviors, there is no red behaviors. And that comes from paying attention. You don't even know what red behaviors are because you haven't taken the time to establish. And that's what real recovery is about. So, what else was it that I wanted to tell you? I think that, yeah, the other thing is connection. Why is connection so important? And if you stick around this recovery stuff, if you will, and really go deep into recovery, you'll hear us saying that recovery is recovery. You'll hear the saying, connection is the opposite of addiction. Connection is the opposite of addiction. Connection is the opposite of addiction. And it really is. Connection is the opposite of addiction. And so you have to think about it this way, because this is something that you can attack right now. Porn addiction is all about hiding out, and a lot of the people that do it, not all of them, but a lot of the people that do it, hide in corners, and they're very reclusive. They're very by themselves. in real strong ways. Some people they manage to 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 talk to a lot of people, but they don't connect with a lot of people. There's an intimacy disorder. They don't, people don't know how to trust, so on and so on and so on. And so, one of the things that I found in my recovery, personally, and it's also they talk about it in connection, but one of the things I found, because that was a big area with me, is that I didn't connect. Now, I always had the communication skills. I was a trained salesperson, trained speaker, and all that stuff like that. So talking to people wasn't hard, but connecting. And I found, like, in my first year of being sober and recovering, uh, that was one of the things, big gifts. And in fact, I even took it to a higher level, and I said that I'm going to make 2 actual real friends a day. I happen to live in a community where that's very easy because it's a senior community and it's a gated community and people walk. So basically, if I really had a desire to meet friends, all I have to do is just walk around. And then I have an electric bike. So again, that's a conversation piece in and of itself. So if I just wanted to, so yeah, connection is the opposite of addiction. And so that's something that you can really work on, is not being by yourself and really connecting with people. And that's something that for me, I found that was uh, a big gift. And also for me, I'm a big porn researcher. So one of the things that we did not talk about in this is that there's a lot of different, what they call it, neurochemicals that are involved in pornography: oxytocin, norepinephrine, serotonin, dopamine that you know of, vasopressin, um, and the one that's the connection, is oxytocin. That's the one that you get from hugging people and when love expressions, oxytocin. And see, in the PMO process, uh, keep in mind that there's an overload of neurochemicals that you're not supposed to. It's too much for your body, really. It really is. But your body compensates, and it works it out, and it desensitizes itself. And that's one of the reasons why there's always going to be escalation with sex addiction, because it is, any form of sex addiction is a hyperstimulation. And because of the hyperstimulation, the user numbs themselves, and to compensate themselves for the numbing, they have to escalate. And so the porn creators and developers are more than happy to do that in this way, that way, or the other way. So one of the things that happens is that when people are doing a lot of porn, the oxytocin is one of those things that they get drenched with. And so after being drenched with all that oxytocin, there's no reason to connect. And see, this is part of what makes us us. And see, porn is a game of solitaire. I know some of y'all don't even play cards, but porn is a game of solitaire. Solitaire really is the only card game that you can play by yourself. Okay, I'm not trying to be smart or anything, but life is not, and it never has been, a game of solitaire. And so when we're playing the game of solitaire, we're playing the game of life backwards. And what happens is the being by ourselves and being drowned in pornography is what makes people want to be by themselves. I didn't realize this for a while, and it really blew my mind how many porn users, you would think that they're like totally sexually charged, and that's not everybody, because like I've always said, everybody has a different little recovery journey, and everybody has a different story, and everybody has a little different this. But there's a lot of people, especially younger people, who never had any sex partners, and I'm a church going person, and that's kind of good news from that respect. But from the other respect is that these people, they have no desire to connect. They've lost that total ability to have any sense of intimacy. And so that would be the reason for you today to do whatever you need to do so that you don't have porn, so that you can have a sense of intimacy. That's a good reason. You know, the reason that I think people should stop doing porn, if any other reason, is that it's something that could put you in jail, because somebody could, if you're watching a bunch of porn, somebody can send you anything and then you die. You watching naked kids and then you got naked kids on your computer and then you could go to jail. Or some people have got liked, somebody sent them a naked kid and next thing they like that. Then the next thing they don't catch a predator. So it's not a game, man. If you're doing porn now, you got to embrace the things that you need to do to change. I got a whole bunch of podcasts. All that stuff has already been discussed, man. What you need to do. It really has. So with that, I've done all I can do for you today. I've answered a few of your questions. Hopefully you'll come back next week and join us for another happy time that we'll have. And, this is a journey, man. One day at a time, one step at a time. Do something to make your life better. Spend that hour a day to make your life better. Listen to my podcast, listen to somebody else's podcast, get as many books as you possibly can, reach out to somebody. If you don't want to hire a coach, hire a coach just to tell you the things and how to do it on your own. Because if you were going to journey out on your own, there's no way you possibly could do it. But you're still going to have to do the basic things, and you're still going to have to connect with people. I mean, you might be able to circumvent getting a coach, or you might be able to circumvent getting a therapist, but you're not going to be able to get around these things. You're going to have to heal yourself to become a better person. You're going to have to heal yourself from original wounds that you had, and you're going to have to heal yourself from whatever damage that the porn has done for you and to you. You're going to have to learn how to live without porn. And that's a whole gamut of strategy. And really, your life has to become purpose-driven. And when those three things happen simultaneously, my friend, bam, you get recovery. And I guess the final question I wanted to answer for you today, there's a difference between recovery and sobriety. All sobriety means you didn't do porn. And that's why people get to, I didn't do porn for a year. And I did relapse. Duh. You were the same person. You didn't become a different person. You didn't do the three things I just finished saying. Heal, become purpose-driven, and figure out how to manage your life differently. So with that, I'm Joseph F. Price, Joey P. I'll see you guys soon. Drive with caution and walk with care. And that's backwards, by the way. It's drive with care and walk with caution. God bless you. See you soon.